Sean, you were talking about bringing a broom here last week.
If this week was on, but
we should have given you the mop.
Or the broom of the week.
The broom of the week.
Yeah. What a different game, hey? Yeah. So different to game one.
I think Philanders has made the right decision. That Queensland should never play in Perth again. Their record, I think, is 70-something and to 18. So, yeah.
Only 2 games.
Yeah, 2 games, of course, but, starting to build a trend there.
What about them nearly selling it out? Well, it was sold out.
It was sold out by the end of the match, yes.
Exactly. 59,000.
By match start, sorry.
358 in there for the 60,000 seat stadium there at Optus.
I think it was beautiful having filled out. The stadium looked excellent. I do have a gripe with the ground. I don't think it was up to par. I think it probably because the Dockers played on it the night before. So
you can see all the blacked out 50-metre lines.
And I feel like they probably cut it maybe too short. I think it needed probably an extra inch or 2 of grass on the top there for some lawn chat because it wasn't very slippery and was getting torn out throughout the match. But that wasn't the reason for the Maroons getting dicked in this.
It was only in the second half.
Yeah, I think missing the 60 tackles and having to make over 100 more tackles was probably the detriment to the Maroons in this one. I think. They have 5 knock-ons and 2 strips within their own half. I think most of that within the 30 in that second half. So errors was probably the reasoning for them getting absolutely hammered in this one. So a lot for them to improve on, and they can potentially improve on going home. But credit to New South Wales for once they had on the throat after the Konfusi send-off.
The foot went down,
they just buried them under, and we've seen that in the regular NRL. Once you get the ascendancy, it's very hard to get it back.
Indeed.
And if you turn the ball over a fuckload, it makes it even harder. So,
indeed.
A lot of improvement to be done there.
Did you have any gripes with the refereeing? I saw a lot of one-eyed Queensland fans blowing up. I'm like, bro, you can cry the refs if you lose by a try, but get done by 32 points.
It was the same. I don't think you should be relying on the refs, and potentially this match was over-refed a little bit. I don't think a sin bin for ruck infringements on the goal line in an Origin game is kind of fair. And
it's a professional foul though.
But also, Harry Grant was the one holding him down, not Konfusi. Maybe pick the dude that caused the issue.
Should have seen both of them.
Yeah, that's more of a bunker thing than a.
But it was also it was different infringements as well. It was hands or holding, and you're defending a goal line in Origin. I would have let it play out more than going to the sin bin.
Yeah.
Knowing how prevalent a sin bin is to a team winning in a regular game.
Yeah, we've been over the stats in that. It's
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like 9 and 10 or something, isn't it?
So it's... as a Queensland fan, you're like, we're probably fucked here. So
and the momentum shift.
They scored once in that period, and then they held on.
Yeah, To'o scored, but then the Tupou try was when Konfusi had been back on the field for 30 seconds, but you could feel all that momentum changing.
Well, that 8 minutes in the second half, they just tackled the entire time, and they were rooted by the end of it.
Exactly right.
I still don't know why Tino and Papali played 10 and 5 minutes in the second half. So it's obviously a strategy that Billy was doing. But
the same in the game one. Papali had barely played in the second half.
And if that was the thinking, because they went big to start with, took Tino off, put Carrigan on, if that was the plan and he was going to play the full game, I would have thought play Carrigan the whole 13, and then you can use Tino as a big forward, rotating with Lindsay more.
And that's when they got rickrolled as well, was when their pack lost a bit of size. And we were talking about it last week. Had New South Wales gone in too small, or maybe they
Jake Turbo had an excellent game. Played all 80, just tackled a house down.
He's so good. Yeah. He's so good.
I think he was excellent.
The thing about Jakey T is he's not flashy, I think, and that's maybe why he got overlooked. I don't know.
But you need the hard workers, which is what they probably missed in game one.
That's all he's just 108 kilos of just grunt.
Plus on a slippery, dewy track like this was, and where making tackles was very important. New South Wales missed barely any. So big credit to Jake T in that one. I think the other big difference was Matt Burton's kicking game. Like they needed a second option at kicker, and having a 5'8" plan in the
Pepe's little tidbits from last week. They had someone to take the pressure off Nathan Cleary. Was that one of the best Origin debuts ever? I'd have to go through. You'd have to go through. I've only kind of just thought of it, but definitely in recent memory, I can't remember someone debut and have that big an impact in their first game.
Yeah, I agree. And it does had a very interesting potential problem With Latrell essentially ruling himself out, probably clears that problem.
Yeah.
But you have to put Whiten back in the team after the way he played in game one.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to keep Burton in there. So
I think poor Stephen Crichton, I think he's going to miss out.
Yeah.
Cookie was good. He played a fair few minutes off the bench there. I think he'd be stiff to miss out on the 14.
Yeah. Well, he played. Yeah.
Played like
Appy plays
50,
30, and then he played the 50. Yeah. So
yep.
I think that was the plan for them. I'm not so sure about having their extra centre on the bench to then play.
Talakai barely
play in the second row. Like that seemed a bit odd, but in the end, it didn't matter because they were 30 points in front.
And we were questioning that last week. The Talakai selection, probably the biggest head scratcher of them all. But he does give you that versatility. If one of their middle forwards went down, you could chuck CSC for Talakai in there to nut truck it up the middle for a little bit. I think he'd be just fine. The fact that he plays centre is fucking crazy. Yeah. So I think that was kind of the thinking there. We were questioning Freddie's, big selections and swinging of the axe and non-selections last week, but they've all paid off dividends.
Yeah, I think the Queensland's, though how good New South Wales were, Queensland were worse. So I think they were bad. Yeah,
they
played really bad.
Yeah, they really killed themselves. And in that game one, they were They didn't make any errors. They were clinical on the goal line. They took every opportunity. Yeah. There's an argument to be made that New South Wales were better in game one than Queensland. Queensland just didn't make mistakes and finish their chances.
Yep. Yeah, 100% agree.
Which was completely different in this game.
Yeah, and they really didn't get many opportunities. They had 2 tackles inside New South Wales 20 in the second half, and Harry Grant knocked it on. So
yeah, right.
That was the story for them. They just were buried in their own half the entire second half.
Was it hard watching for you?
Well, it was just like, you got to go through these to then get to the good times. Yeah. I remember losing 3 series in a row, and I was like, it's going to come, and we won 8 and then the following one. So I'm not too worried.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, I can't believe I just felt sympathy for you. Gross fucking feeling. Get rid of that.
Yeah.
I wanted to gloat a little bit on Sunday night. I thought, oh, geez, he's probably a bit upset. Maybe I'll just leave it.
That's when you really got to twist the screw.
Foot on the throat. Yeah. Foot on the throat.
Yeah, but
don't let him back up.
But then you talk a big game, and then if Queensland go and wins in Brisbane, then I'm just like, bro.
That's
exactly
right.
That's the
That's exactly right. And what did we looked at once coming back from 1-0? New South Wales only ever been able to do it 4 times from 20.
Yes. So, and the last time they did it was when they played game 2 in Perth. So
Omen.
Yeah, could be.
New South Wales 13 plus.
So yes, it'll be interesting going into game 2. What happens? I just wanted to finish on the
game
Burton,
3.
Game 3, sorry. After game 2, I just want to finish on Burton because we had talked about if they wanted to keep more centres, then potentially him being a 6, do you play him a 6 and then Lua misses out? But I think they want to keep that connection. And now with Latrell ruling himself out, and I don't think Pap's going to get a Guernsey, Pappenhausen. So I'd say it's going to be Whiten and Crichton in the centres, and Whiten and Burton in the centres,
with Crichton to miss out.
Yeah, Crichton to miss out. Yes.
I do agree. We shall discuss that next week. I think Sunday night next week will be the teams. So,
what do you think? To follow on from the finish of Origin, what did you think about them? Volanders, my comment about Volanders binning international week and going back to Wednesday night for Origin.
Yeah, they don't like Sunday night Origin for whatever reason. I was looking last week at the ratings. It's been steadily dropping a little bit for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, although they've only had...
Well, they struggle to sell tickets as well in New South Wales and Perth. Luckily for Queensland, they've sold out, a week ago. So
Queensland
being a decider, like they know they've got to turn out. So that's good. But I think
interesting because there's not much difference between the Sunday night and the Wednesday night. Like they're both school nights.
Yeah, and honestly, for me, like I guess they're thinking they're going to play club footy on the weekend. But why not just still play Origin on the Wednesday night and everyone else that's not in Origin? Play the internationals. You got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Just
it's a backward step for the international.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Side of things.
And we saw how good some of those international games were. So.
And
they have to
we're just talking about the big 3 in rugby league in Australia, England, and New Zealand. If you want anyone to
grow the game,
to actually compete with them, we've seen Tonga get lifted to be a tier 1 nation, but it's kind of like they're like tier 1.5. Do you know what I mean? They can play New Zealand and not get embarrassed.
Yeah.
But going into a rugby league World Cup, are Tonga or Samoa going to win the World Cup? Probably not.
Yeah. Well, you also think
they're going to go close. Probably not.
No, but you if you want to be them competitive, you got to play more games there.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's the talk about like, why are you going to play in rugby league games in America, trying to get into that audience? Go play games in the Pacific. Like there's
that's money.
Well, I think
it's cash money.
Yeah,
that's
money.
the reason for it.
I think the population of Tonga is like 120,000 people. Like it's literally like the MCG.
But the league's 50-60% from that area.
Course,
yeah,
yeah. But hosting games over there is a different kettle of fish. Same thing going back to our PNG chat. Would PNG ever get a team in the NRL? Probably not.
They'd turn out though.
Well, they've got a lot more people.
Yeah,
they've got a lot more people, which helps. But unfortunately, I think the way that the game has changed, in the last 30 years to be, Anglo-Saxon predominant game to half Pacific Islander, that all comes off the basis of people leaving the islands and coming to New Zealand and Australia.
Yep.
That's just the crux of it. And of course you want Tonga and Samoa and Fiji to continue to gain momentum and get stronger, but hosting games out there, it's probably just not financially viable for them, and that's probably just the sad fact of it. That's an interesting little list up there, Monks. I want to go through a few of these. The top 50 performances from a State of Origin rookie. We won't go through all 50, but let's have a look at the top there. Brett Hodgson, 2002.
Yes.
Gary Belcher, 1986. I can't imagine any of us remember that one. Anthony Minicello, Les Davidson, Ian French. So the Hodgson game, far and away the greatest performance ever. 374 run meters, 14 tackle busts. 14 tackle busts, the bloke weighed about 78 kilos. Jesus Christ. 6 line breaks, try, assist. There you go. Well, I don't think Matt Burton quite had a game like that.
Not quite like that.
Not quite had a game like that. Who else we got? More recent memory.
Well, Gary Belcher's one there. Like, that's still 300 plus run meters, 17 tackle bursts.
Back from 1986. We might have to ask the old boys about Gary Belcher.
Oh, he was good.
Back in 1986. The more recent ones there, Brian To'o, 2021. Cam Munster in 2017. Willie Tonga. That's still back in 04. Yeah. Interesting. I want to go through that list more thoroughly.
Munster. Number 10, Munster.
Yeah, Munster was there. You don't go scroll down.
Oh, isn't
2017. Munster had 12 metres a run, 2 offloads, 5 tackle busts, a line break assist, and a try assist. Didn't get a meaty. Yeah. That's crazy. You think about how good Cam Munster is now, and he's done it all. But that's his first Origin game back there in game 3 of 2017. That was another thing that we talked about as well. It was negating Cam Munster. I don't know what they did in terms of their training and preparing for him, but he didn't look like he could cut New South Wales open at will.
They didn't have any ball, I think, was a bigger issue.
Yeah, big time.
It's a bit hard to get Cam Munster go when you're in your own 30.
When you've got to defend the whole time.
Yeah.